All right, so today we are diving into a book that I know you are interested in because you provided it for this deep dive.
Project Hail Mary
Oh,
by Andy Weir. And it's about an amnesiac astronaut who wakes up in space millions of miles from home with no memory of his mission.
yeah, so familiar.
It's just another Tuesday, right?
Well, it's classic Weir. He always takes a classic sci-fi trope and injects it with this perfect blend of hard science and humor, and it just sucks you in.
It totally does. And it's
Yeah.
like, how do you make amnesia in space fun?
Yeah.
But somehow he does it. And cleverly, too, as our amnesiac astronaut, let's just call him Ryland for now, as he starts figuring things out, we do, too. It's like we're experiencing this mystery alongside him.
Absolutely. And one of the first mysteries that he uncovers is this anomaly detected in space called the Petrova line. It's emitting this unique wavelength of light, and it stretches from the sun towards Venus.
Okay, so we have a weird line in space pointed at another planet. What's the big deal?
Well, the big deal is what it implies. This Petrova line, it's not just some random occurrence. It suggests that something is interacting with our sun, something that's not from around here, not from our solar system.
You're talking about aliens.
Not quite yet,
Okay.
but close. The Petrova line, it turns out that it's teeming with these microscopic organisms that Weir calls astrophage.
Astrophage, what is that?
They're feeding on the sun's energy,
They're eating the sun.
literally consuming the very energy that fuels our solar system. So you can imagine like microscopic organisms blanketing a solar panel and slowly draining its power. That's essentially what we're talking about, but on a cosmic scale.
So not your friendly neighborhood aliens, more like cosmic vampires.
Yeah, you could say that, and what's even wilder is that this whole concept isn't entirely out there.
Really?
Scientists have long been concerned about the potential for solar dimming due to various factors, even extraterrestrial ones. Weir just takes that fear and spins it into this terrifyingly plausible scenario.
So we've got our amnesiac astronaut grappling with this lost memory, and he stumbles upon the fact that Earth is facing an energy crisis courtesy of these sun-munching microbes.
Yeah.
Talk about a bad day.
And this is where Weir's masterful storytelling shines through. He weaves together these two seemingly disparate narratives. Ryland's personal struggle for identity and humanity's fight for survival, they become mirrors reflecting each other, showing how even amidst cosmic events, our own personal journeys matter.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
They're really well connected.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Ryland, who is still trying to piece together his memories, picks up a signal, and it's not human.
Yeah, it turns out that Ryland is not alone in this whole cosmic predicament.
Huh.
He encounters a spacecraft, but it's from a civilization that's also being affected by the astrophage.
Okay.
They're called the Iridians.
The Iridians. And this is where Andy Weir, he lets his imagination go wild because the Iridians are about as alien as you can get. I mean, they breathe ammonia, their bodies are built differently, their whole perception of the world is based on sound, not sight.
Yeah.
And remember how we were talking about those weird wavelengths from the Petrova line?
Right.
That's how the Iridians see, they sense those wavelengths. It's like they hear the universe, which is really cool when you think about it.
It's fascinating how Weir uses these differences to kind of challenge our assumptions about intelligence and communication,
Yeah.
We're so used to thinking that intelligence has to look and sound like us.
Yeah.
But the Iridians, they
Yeah.
show us that there are other ways of experiencing and understanding the universe.
Totally. And the alien that Ryland encounters, this Iridian, he calls him Rocky. And
Yeah.
their relationship is actually one of the things I loved most about this book. You have these two beings from completely different worlds. They can't even breathe the same air, but they form this really incredible bond. But, going back to that communication barrier for a second, how do they even begin to understand each other?
Well, it takes a lot of trial and error, ingenuity, and a shared love of science. Yeah. They start with basic gestures, and then they start using sound and light patterns to create this very rudimentary language. There's this one scene I love where Ryland actually uses math equations to try to explain things to Rocky.
Wow.
And it just clicks.
Yeah.
It's like math is this universal language that transcends even interstellar boundaries.
Wow. I never thought of math as a universal language, but it makes so much sense. So we have these two species, both are on the brink of extinction, and both are desperate to save their people from these sun-munching microbes. What happens next? So we've got these two species, right? And they're both facing this huge problem that threatens their entire existence.
Right.
What kind of crazy solutions does Andy Weir come up with? I mean, this is the same author who had an astronaut perform surgery on himself using duct tape.
Yeah. And in Project Hail Mary, he doesn't disappoint. There's this one example that really stood out to me.
Yeah.
It involves this chain they had to construct out of this incredibly rare and unstable element called xenonite.
Xenonite.
Yeah, it's a substance that, according to our current understanding of physics, shouldn't even exist.
Okay.
But he invents this element, he outlines its properties,
Hmm.
and then he uses it to solve multiple problems in the book.
Wow. Wasn't xenonite the stuff they needed to, what was it, survive that atmospheric dive?
Yeah, on Adrian Rocky's home planet.
It's little details like that that make me want to just put the book down, grab my old physics textbook, and just go down this rabbit hole of like, what if this could actually exist? But, Ryland and Rocky, they're not just dealing with the how of survival, are they?
No, definitely not. There's this whole other layer of, like, ethical dilemmas that Weir weaves into the story.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, remember, both of their civilizations are on the brink of collapse.
Right.
And some of the solutions they come up with could potentially save one species, but at the cost of the other.
That's rough. So not exactly a win-win situation.
No, not at all. And Ryland, he's constantly having to grapple with these incredibly difficult decisions with no easy
I
answers.
can imagine.
And, what I find really powerful about that is that it reminds us that even when we're talking about extinction-level events, ethics still matter.
Yeah.
It's not just about survival at any cost. It's about trying to find a way forward that considers the well-being of everyone involved.
It's easy to get so caught up in the science and the adventure of it all. But you're right, the ethical dilemmas, they add this whole other layer of depth to Project Hail Mary that I think is really important.
And despite the weight of these dilemmas, there's also this unwavering sense of hope throughout the story.
Yeah, I was going to say that. They never give up.
Right.
Right.
Even when they're facing these impossible odds, Ryland and Rocky, they cling to this belief that there has to be a solution, that there's a way to save their people, their civilizations. And that's such a powerful message, I think. This idea that even in the darkest of times, hope can be a powerful motivator.
And just when you think you figured everything out, Weir throws in one of his trademark twists.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not going to spoil it for our listener, but I will say it makes you rethink everything that came before it.
It totally does. And that, to me, is the mark of a truly great sci-fi novel. It's not just about the science or the adventure. It's about the questions it raises and how it stays with you long after you finish reading.
Project Hail Mary is more than just a sci-fi thriller. It's a story about human connection, the resilience of hope, and really the boundless possibilities of scientific inquiry. It reminds us that even when we are facing the unknown, even when we are staring down extinction, we are capable of incredible ingenuity, compassion, and courage.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive, I definitely encourage you to check out the book. It's a wild ride, and you will not regret it.
Absolutely. Well, that was quite the deep dive.
It really was.
Until next time.